Hello, it's Tamara Hunter, and today is day number 211 of 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. And we have two Tamaras on today. And I want to introduce you to today's service hero, Tamara. How do I say your last name correctly?
Linnan.
Linnan. I'm just going to start letting people say their own last names because anybody that knows me knows I have a bit of an issue there. So
get my first name right.
Anyway. Right.
Screw that up.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Tamara. Tamara is a survivor. Yes, she's had cancer, but we were just visiting a little bit more, and she actually, she's like, that's a walk in the park. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Yet what she's doing, she comes professionally from an area that I worked in for 18 years. And so when she said that she's doing what she's doing, I was like, yes, someone needs to be doing this. She's working with some of my buddies in regards to this. And in fact, two other service heroes. So, and in particular one. And so I just want to say, welcome. And before I start speaking with you, I just want to say welcome to our senior ambassador of Chemo Buddies for Life. I'm so glad you're here, Sharon. Tamara is someone that you definitely want to get to know, and I think you might even know what we're going to talk about because we spoke live when I was streaming at Sammy Drezzy's event, she actually spoke too. So I think you might even know. Yes, a double dose of Tamara show. Hi, Mikey. Just absolutely adore you both. I'm so glad you're on live, and I know we have others on live with us too. When we get Tamara back into the screen, we will start visiting. I think she's live, or she might have. She might have dropped out. We'll bring her back in a moment. Oh, she's coming back to the show right now into the digital room, so she should be here in a moment, and you're going to see possibly what happened. She's got some really cool stuff going on in her little environment there. In the meantime, as I am visiting before she comes back on, hello, Amy. Thank you. Absolutely fabulous. You know it. Yeah, I love this show, and you know how much I do. We have so much fun here. And David, hello, good to see you. And as we're waiting for our guest to re-enter, the other Tamara from today's show, I want to say, thank you everybody that was involved with Team Hero. I think she's coming on now. Team Hero, the Service Heroes crew, media crew, here she is, that joined me at the City Summit. We had so much fun. Okay, there we are. Thank you.
Oh my God,
I knew you'd be back. Okay, so welcome, and thank you for being the service hero that you are. Let's talk.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me on, first of all. I love meeting another Tamara who says the name right, doesn't spell it wrong. It's such a rare thing.
It's a lot of fun. Well, we were comparing that note when we met at Sammy Drezzy's event, and you even came up and you whispered that in my ear. You're like, I love you already. You say your name right, our name right. So, we were just visiting, and to understand how incredible I know you are, I would like to, if it's all right, first of all, we're going to introduce your companions because we heard them. And I have some pictures. I was telling her, I had so much fun. It was hard not to just keep getting more of these pictures. But let's introduce your family.
My team.
And tell us about them. They're so adorable.
Thank you. Well, the one on the right, Bay, with the blacker muzzle, she's actually my 4-year-old bull mastiff, and she is a legit service dog, and she can sense when I'm going to have a seizure, or if my fevers are about to get too high, she'll alert me a certain way, and low blood sugar, that sort of thing. And so I got her at 8 weeks old, and the VA helped me train her and do all that, and she still goes for lots of training. And the cutie pie on the left is he happened to us in a unique situation. He is a full-blooded Cane Corso Mastiff. In this picture, he's 10 months old, but I came across him at 7 months old in an unfortunate situation where someone who wasn't knowledgeable of the breed made this their first pet choice, really necessarily shouldn't have been. And when he got too strong and they didn't know about no pull harnesses or just didn't make good decisions, he wound up in a foster situation where, again, being a puppy at 7 months old, he chewed up a couch and growled at the on-site trainer. And a friend of mine who knew I had large breeds and also work for years with lots of folks who do, foster care for pets in different states called me, and they were going to put him to sleep because they deemed him undoptable. And I went and got him and, signed paperwork that I wasn't responsible if he ate my neck while I drove him home. And he's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dog. Been working on him with obedience training, and getting rid of that energy and everything. We're going to get him neutered and all that fun stuff, all the stuff they didn't do that would have, invoked all that. And he's been a huge, huge blessing in my life, as much of a pain in the butt as he is, because he's, got lots of energy. Mastiffs are super lazy. They sleep like 20 hours a day. But Cane Corsos actually were developed to go into the Italian War. So it's a whole same breed, whole different, type energy level. So yeah, that's him. I used to have a pickup truck and now I have a hybrid car, and he's almost the full length of it now.
I mean, they're just so adorable. I know. Sharon's been sharing that Sharon has a bull mastiff, she's saying, and that she's also saying, oh, how cute, oh, I know, aren't they adorable, and so when you hear her little companions in the background, you'll understand who they are. Okay, so you have a service dog. Yes. And you also shared that you were in the military.
I was in the Navy, yes.
And yet you also, when we were talking beforehand, you were diagnosed at 5 years old with a situation that some would say, how in the heck were you able to be in the military? Why don't you explain?
It's easy. 2 answers. One was at that point, I just had a mild heart murmur, right? And it wasn't always detectable. And even though, so I went from, age 5 to 7, really, really, really ill. I started school late, but then for all intents and purposes, I was really super healthy. And when I joined the military, I know it sounds horrible, I told my Navy recruiter what was going on. And this is what he said: they only know medically what you tell them. And so I didn't put Kawasaki syndrome on my Navy application. I still had to get a waiver for my flat feet and my heart murmur. But I was in, and I was healthy enough at the time. I didn't get much sicker until probably about 7 years ago. So in the time I was in the military, I was decently healthy.
And so say that again. You have Kawasaki syndrome, correct?
Kawasaki syndrome, yes. It's a rare cardiac. That's actually the number 2 cardiac killer in children. At the time that I had it, it was prevalent in 5-year-old Asian boys, and I was a 5-year-old American girl and had never seen it when I was taken to Buffalo Children's Hospital with really, really high fevers. My skin was peeling, my lips would swell, there was rashes, I guess. I only remember bits and pieces of it, from my age, and they really didn't know what it was. And I was so blessed that a Doctors Without Borders doctor happened to be coming through that had been dealing with the exact same symptoms in Asia, i.e. Kawasaki. It was syndrome, now they call it disease, but sort of thing. And they were able to start treatments, but I was doing like IVIG and like 136 baby aspirin a day, something ridiculous to keep fevers down. I was in the hospital for a year, and beyond that, I didn't have a ton of information because I'm from a very small town, 1,200 people. Once I got taken home, nobody really talked to me about the problems I might have with my kidneys later, or they presume then if you lived, if Kawasaki's didn't kill you, you were fine. And so I wasn't followed up with, and for all intents and purposes, had a very healthy childhood past that. And then, but all the complications that came down later down the road nobody told me to be looking for, or I was never following up with cardiologists or anything like I probably should have been. And now, unfortunately, they're realizing that Kawasaki's can sit dormant for over 20 some years. And then folks are having heart attacks and strokes and blood clots and all sorts of things just out of the blue from, from having had it as a child and not being monitored.
Wow. That's amazing. Because when you think about it, okay, a lot of people know I was considered, it's so interesting. We say our name the same way. I was a shut-in. You were a shut-in. I had cancer. You had cancer. Hey, we're like twins. I have a dog, not nearly as big. His name is Artie.
We'll get you a big one. Trust me.
And anybody that's watching this right now, I am not making light of Tamara. In fact, we get it, because when you live in disease much of your life, in health issues, you got to have a sense of humor. And sometimes our sense of humor can really put people off, right?
People have to know me, because my sense of humor, some people could say it could be morbid sometimes, but there just comes a point when you're in the hospital all the time and you're always dealing with something that should have killed you already. Right. And the next thing you're going into, you can't, at least for me, my soul can't afford to be upset all the time. And for me, it's a way of taking control of what I can't control, right? I can joke about it. I can, confront it, say things out loud that other people won't say, for me, it's just a weird sense of having some sort of control over the uncontrollable, I guess.
I love it. I really do believe we're like cut from the same cloth in so many ways. I mean, even your choice of career and what you're doing and everything is just kind of incredible. Because yes, when you're dealing with things that as a child, you can't control the fact that you're delayed to go to school, or like with me, I started school. No one could understand me because I had so many problems with even my speech. But then I got so sick, they had to pull me out of school, and I pretty much missed that whole school year. They did something that was kind of really unheard of. My mother homeschooled me, is what they would consider it now, but it was all through the school district. It was kindergarten. I finger painted at home. But
I missed kindergarten because I was in the hospital.
Right, exactly. And so you learn different coping skills, and a lot of it is that you got to laugh through it. And with our buddies, Sharon will tell you that we always are saying, so have you had your daily dose of laughter today? Because you just got to laugh, and it's so good for the heart and the soul and the body, and just, chemically, it just is exactly what we need to be doing, right?
Well, it is, and I can't lie. I didn't always choose to be that way. I will tell you, and it's going to sound strange, but I really got to the point where when I came down to San Diego and I wound up in the hospital for those 11 months, I was done. I was depressed. I was tired of being on that fence of half sick, half alive. So sick I should have been dead, but because I wasn't dead, there was actually people claiming I wasn't really that sick. I'm like, well, come see me. It's just a weird space to be in. And I was ready to give it up. And so I decided, to try something different. I was watching Steve Harvey, and I started listening to comedy and uplifting things in my sleep. And I very slowly, you wouldn't think it makes a difference. It sounds silly, but I would be in the hospital. And eventually I would wake up laughing, like my sleep was like earbuds in. And it just really started and is really helped me, and it progressed to the point where that's when I decided to change, my answering service into nonprofit and do the different things. And it was just by changing those little things, because I was miserable. I was miserable. I was depressed. I was giving up. So it wasn't always an option that I had, taken in my life. But now I have to do it. Every day above ground is a good day, and no matter what's going on, I'll find a way to laugh if I can, and if I can't, then I will pull somebody up and have them help me.
Exactly. A buddy. That's what we consider it, and I'm glad. Thank you for sharing, because, I also want us to be real. It's not that going through major life issues is always super easy, right?
No.
No.
No, not at all. And I will submit to you, at least in my case, I think it's harder on my friends and family than it is me. Like watching friends who can't do anything, or watching people stay away from me because they don't know what to say. You know, and like, well, I want you to be you. I want you to come over, have some coffee, watch a movie. Like, I don't want that to change, but people they just avoid you like the plague. So they feel like they should always feel sorry for you. I don't want you feeling sorry for me. And then you, like you said, you get the folks where about 55 times ago, I should have been dead already, and I'm not, so I must be exaggerating. And it's a really hard road to navigate. You know, we all just have to do the best we can with it. And I have an easier time with it. I spend more time telling other people that it's okay than I get being told to me.
Exactly. Well, that is why we started the buddies. Because to have people that understand, like I just was sharing, Sharon, you know, who's here, laughter is good for us, can relate. She was actually in ICU and in and out of a coma. She's been through some really gnarly stuff, and she's willing to share it. She's willing to let me share it, which I always am grateful and humble and really try to get it right. But the whole reason that she's allowed it to be, and she told me in the very beginning, Tamara, people need to know, and they need to hear the real, you know, that yes, some days we have really great days and some days we don't have really great days. However, if we can find people that can relate to us, because like when you have to explain it to someone, sometimes you're okay with that, but sometimes that energy is just too much. It's like, it's so much easier to just not even say anything to anybody, because then they're going to question me. They're going to ask me. They're going to, you know, treat me like this. They're going to not treat me like that, whatever it may be. And just to have someone that will say, hey, I got it. I understand. How you doing with this? And then like, oh, you really do understand. You know how to say my name right, kind of thing, right? You know, it's that connection to be able to say, oh, I get it. I'm here for you. Let's do this together. And so, you know, I just want to say thank you for being so real and so raw and sharing this, because you now, because you started this when you were 5, your body did, and then it was in remission, and then it's come on pretty full force, hasn't it?
Yeah. About 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was about 6 years ago, I started having horrible flank pains. I was getting kidney infections, all sorts of things, and my bladder stopped working for absolutely no reason. And all intents and purposes, you know, I had tachycardia at that point, but my heart wasn't being super crazy yet, you know, with the Kawasaki's coming back. And I was having all these neurological issues. So at one point, they actually told me I had MS. I started treatment for MS, and there was that whole trying to figure that out, right? But my brain scans were fine, but I was having all these same symptoms. And again, now I calf, you know, I have for several years, which actually has turned into a blessing. If you don't have to use the restroom in public or on a bus or a plane, I have to calf. But you got to find the good stuff there, right? And
exactly.
So long story short, and I started getting blood clots, and so eventually they figured out that the Kawasaki syndrome was coming back. And Kawasaki syndrome does present itself like MS. They say, I have a difference in theory. They say it's not genetic. But my mother, whom I lost to suicide when she was 33, but she had 5 or 6 siblings who never made it to the age of 5, who passed away in the 50s and 40s, 50s, and 60s. So, and they were said they passed away probably from childhood MS. I would submit, I bet Kawasaki syndrome is genetic, but is misdiagnosed a lot. And where it might look like childhood MS before they knew what it was, because they didn't know what it was when I was, so I was 5, it would have been 70, 79, 88, 1, 2, 3, so 1983, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot of misdiagnoses because they present themselves so similar.
So, you know, you have now taken this trial, if you will, this, some people really see it interesting when I say in my own world, I have seen some of my health challenges as gifts, just because it's given me an opportunity to find my best self and to find that what in my world, what my mission is. And not everybody sees it this way, but challenges, however you want to describe it, you have decided to look at how can you serve others, right?
Well, for me, I kind of had to. And it sounds funny. I come from a very, really strong Catholic background. I almost became a Franciscan nun before I joined the military.
Wow.
And so I've always been that person who didn't feel like that people are here to suffer, right? And they're here for some reason. I didn't necessarily know what that reason was. And like I shared a little bit earlier, now I was literally to the point where I had to find some purpose. And if I could help other people, I could, or I was going to give in to my disease and pass away. Like I wasn't going to commit suicide, but when you're that sick, it's real easy. But taking an antibiotic and I'm already in the hospital, and you can just give up. And just for me, I really felt like I didn't have a choice. I am either here for a reason, and it's better than what this suffering is, and the legacy of my family, where my mom took her life and now I'm sick and my kids are going to lose it, me. And I just couldn't. I was suicidal several times. I mean, I was a teen cutter. For me, I guess I felt like I had no choice. I either was going to die or I was going to pick something I was passionate about and fight for it with everything that I do have left. And that's what I've been doing, hopefully, ever since, the best of my ability. And like I said, I'm not always great at it and I don't always have a good outlet, but I try to keep people around me that remind me that there's people that need folks like you and me and Sammy Dressy and all these other folks, that, I need to be the person that I needed 5 years ago, I guess, to
Right.
somebody else, hopefully.
Absolutely. We met, I'm going to bring this up. We met at Sammy Dressy's event.
Love Sammy, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we all do. I mean, what an amazing heart and soul that man has. And you talk about someone that believes in giving. I mean, that's just like his middle name, maybe his first name and last name. Yeah, I don't know.
How does it?
And so you have teamed up. Now you come from the world that I worked in for a number of years. You are in the staffing world, right?
The staffing world?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not per se. So I actually originally was a hospital corpsman in the Navy, and I was a surgical tech. And when I wanted to start my own business, I actually started an answering service.
That's right. Okay.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So I own an answering service. I started it from the ground up, called Front Office Solutions. But because I'm a control freak, right? I think it's that surgical tech. I intended on having an answering service that just took messages, $1 a phone call, and was useless, right? Like most of them are. But my control freak wouldn't let me do that. And when I started noticing small business owners that needed help building a standard operating procedure or having their customer service staff be run appropriately, because when I was in the military, I did a lot of training. I wrote the standard operating procedure for the surgical departments. Like, efficiency is my thing, right? And so I started doing that with small business owners. So Front Office Solutions is an answering service, but a helpful one. So we would answer phones for plumbing, medical, dental, but we could do whatever hourly staff could do. We could take insurance, we could explain the procedures, we could dispatch, we would handle all of their customer service. So it's not really staffing, but yeah, a full scale answering service.
Right. So I think of it that way because I'm thinking, okay, instead of an entrepreneur or someone that has their own business having to staff their own employees, you're taking that staffing, it kind of like in what I would even think a kind of a temporary, but not quite. But you have a full service agency or a program that they can pay you to then employ these people to then work for them. And these are
right. So we do a flat, instead of a per phone call basis, and it depends on what we do, because some companies we just take messages for. I mean, other companies, we're answering the phones 24 hours. We'll tell someone how to turn the water off to their house, be helpful. So we do a flat monthly rate so that small business owner can know what they're going to be paying every month. And then we provide that quality customer service so that they can do their job out in the field, not miss phone calls, and, you know, help them if they're still using Excel or something crazy. Hey, here's this free program. Let's get you on Google Calendar and really just get them running more efficiently so that they can grow their business. Because a lot of small business owners are great at what they do. They need help in the realm of how to run their front office.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like this world of what I've noticed. A lot of the entrepreneurial speaking people, that speakers, author, coaches that are going out and they're doing their own thing. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm really great with that, but how do I open up a Google Drive? How do I do, you know, Google this, or how do I do that? And I mean, I ran into my own problem with that because of the fact that I always used to have staff. Now I have a nonprofit that we're not quite to that point with staff yet. And so and that's quite challenging when you need to be over here doing this, and you need to also take care of the business piece of it, and do it in such a way that you're not having to completely reinvent everything always. It's a great service that you're offering. And then you decided to add in a nonprofit component to it, didn't you?
I did. I did that again by accident. So a little bit of background, a lot of folks don't know. So I been in Mesa, Arizona since I'm in San Diego right now, but Mesa, Arizona in 2009. Because at the time, my spouse at the time was injured in Iraq, and the Wounded Warrior program is there in Tucson. And so we ended up in Mesa. And well, he was doing that, and that's where I started the answering service. And so I came down to San Diego in January 2017, visit a really amazing friend who's in the military down here. And I wasn't feeling well. I got talked into going to the emergency room because at this point in life, I'm throwing up all the time. Like, I just go with it, right? 104 fever, no problem. Just, you know. And but so anyway, I went into the emergency room in January, and I did not come out until November of 2017. I had begun bleeding internally and had a craziness go on, and then I got pneumonia and sepsis and everything that goes with that. And it was during that 11 months in the hospital where I had that point where I was like, oh, I'm ready to die. I'm tired. You know, that depression.
Right.
When you go through a lot of roommates when you're in the hospital that long. And so I started just kind of paying attention. One day I realized that the number one thing that people were leaving for was they were checking out against medical advice, because if they stayed in the hospital, they were going to get fired. Right. And so while I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself about, you know, being in the hospital and my life sucked, I was running a business. My kids had a roof over their head. I didn't realize how blessed I really was, right, at the end of the day. You know, and I had hired a manager who was going to networking meetings and sending clients to the hospital. I was running my business, but I didn't see the blessing in that. And the thing that changed, and I won't say her name because I didn't ask her permission, but I'm still in contact with her, but trying to get her to tell her story, was this young girl. She's 23 or 24 at the time. And they came in and told her that she had cancer and needed to start chemo like the next day. And she was a single mom, and she just completely lost it. Now, you think that's normal when somebody tells you have cancer, but I could tell it was a different type of cry.
Right. And
so I said, you know, when the doctor left, I went over and gave her a hug, and I said, you know, she's like, I can't start chemo. I was like, what's going on? She's like, my son will go to childcare or foster care. Like, I can't be sick. I have nobody to take him. I don't know what to do. And they basically told her she didn't start chemo immediately. There was no hope, right? And it has to be God, and because I didn't have a ton of clients at the time, enough to keep me stable, and I wasn't bringing on new employees. I handed her a business card, and I said, you're going to start chemo. I own an answering service. All my people work from home. I will keep you employed. I need you to start chemo and take care of your little boy. And I then hired somebody to go find work for her. And ever since then, Front Office Solutions, we are now a 501(c)(3) through the state of Arizona. We are a legal nonprofit. We only hire the chronically ill now. It's not how I take my paycheck anymore. Nobody on the board takes a paycheck, and it kind of just operates itself. And so everybody, you know, we, as best as we can, we go out when we find work, and then we employ usually chronically ill veterans, but really at the end of the day, anybody that's chronically ill. If they can't pick up the phone, they certainly can send an email. Because I mean, our business, we do web chatting for websites. We handle customer service for emails. You know, we do anything a front office staff would do for lots of corporations, and so we're really blessed that way. And so that's, I guess, just my way of trying to give back and you know, just alleviate that issue of me not realizing how blessed I was that I could be sick. You know,
right.
Because I owned a business, and,
right.
and all those other people that I saw leave the hospital. This is the United States in 2019. Nobody should be making a choice between employment and health. It just should not be happening.
And it's happening way, way, way too much. In fact, if you are not aware of this and you have a business, if you have ever known anybody that's been chronically ill and you are saying, wait a minute, I know what it's like to run a business, and I know what it's like to deal with someone that's chronically ill, and I had no idea that there was no bridging, that there was no system in place. And you would think, because yes, we are the United States of America, and yes, we have so many wonderful social programs, and yes, we have so much going on that is better than anywhere else in the world, and yet I really do believe, and I've talked to so many people, that's why when you introduced yourself to me, I'm like, oh, you are an answer to my prayers. And I know that without a doubt, because I have talked to so many people that are the therapists and the counselors for many of the medical centers that are out there. I know many of the doctors that I have talked to when I started Chemo Buddies for Life, and I started talking to other nonprofits that are dealing with our population, our community, and asking the question, do you know of people that have refused treatment? Do you know people that have not been able to continue their treatment? And do you know people that have lost their insurance because of things like, you know, and when you throw in the mix that someone may leave you because you're sick and they had the insurance and they had the job, but they leave you with the children, which oftentimes happens. It happens. It's an epidemic now. And if you are in the political world or you know political people, I know I'm ready to go up, and I have people that are willing to go with me. I'm sure Tamara would team with me too. We need to get in front of these politicians and I'm not going with a picket sign. I'm going with an educational flyer and an educational attitude, because I truly believe that they are not aware that this is a chronic, huge problem that is epidemic. It is an epidemic in our system.
I don't think they are aware. There's too much time and attention complaining about the opiates in this country, which doctors create, and then they blame the patient for it. And then, you know, that whole thing. I really don't think they realize the full scale of somebody who, you know, is chronically ill and how that works. And I have seen firsthand that she's passed on now, but she had brain cancer. Her husband left her. She was left with the kids. She was fighting. And when she passed away, he came back with the girlfriend. It's horrible, but he took the medical insurance with him. And
right.
same thing.
Right.
And, you know, I'm really blessed to have medical insurance, you know, because I was in the military, but a lot of folks don't have that. There's still things that the state insurances won't pay for or cover, you know, wise. And there's always some transition where if you did have regular health insurance and you lost it, there's not an immediate pickup, you know, for state insurances, you know, and things like that to help folks. And it should not.
Right. So, you know, this is something that we're going to move on to the next subject, but I really want to cement this here right now, and just say, hey, we got the two Tamaras going on. Yeah. And we, between the two of us, with the experiences that we've had and what we've seen, I have talked to way too many of my buddies that have not been able, they've been like that one woman that was going to have to refuse, and those people that were your roommates that had to sign out of the hospital against medical advice because they could not continue being in there for one reason or another, if it was their job, if it was their insurance, if it was whatever it may be. And we've
most was the job. They were afraid they're going to get fired.
Right. And we're talking these are people's lives. And one last thing too is that when you were talking about that, when you're chronically ill, you can give up. And the numbers, this is very important because it's always about the numbers, and the fiscal responsibility is there. We can prove it. We can prove that it will pay for itself to take care of this issue. However, the numbers are not reflected in what you're used to seeing because of the opiate crisis. Those numbers are pretty clear cut, that they were being they were addicted, and this is the results of the addiction, and now they're gone, or now they need whatever it may be. But when you have a chronic disease and you give up, those numbers are in the chronic disease area. If it be cancer, if it be Kawasaki disease, if it be MS, whatever it may be, those numbers go into that, rather than, oh, they were depressed, they gave up, and now, we've got an epidemic here. So, this is something that definitely we could get on our soapbox and we'll move on. However, if you want to talk to the two of us, am I right in saying that we'd be more than happy to talk, right?
All day long, yep.
All day long. And so
on Tuesday.
All day long and Tuesdays. Okay, well, I did pull this, and I think that this really kind of shows your personality too. Okay, it's Monday, but who said Mondays have to
yeah,
be a rebel and have a great day anyway? There you go. Let's be rebels, guys, and let's be rebels and make a difference and do amazing, wonderful things. And I love that. When I saw that, I'm like, yes.
Even if you don't want to have a good, just think about all the people who dislike you, seeing you be happy. Like, that in itself should just cause you to try a little bit harder, because there's several people who, I enjoy causing irritation by my happiness. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Not everybody likes me. Trust me.
Mikey, I agree with you. Tamara's an amazing service hero, and everything that, and then Sharon's just saying, yes, I agree. So you got a fan club going on, Tamara.
Yeah, I'm not all as cracked up to be. At this point in my life, I'm old and chronically ill. That loophole in the Bible, they say you can't get in heaven on good deeds alone. I'm going to try. So,
that works.
We're going to
try. Sharon's giggling on that one.
Lord says yes and know your heart, but I'm going to try the good deeds alone thing. I love it. Your heart.
I love it. So, as we start going into what it is that you're doing now, okay, I love this. Reset, readjust, restart, refocus, and many times, but don't quit. You had to do that a few times, right?
I did. You know what? My best friend sent that to me. I did probably a few days ago. He just knew I was like, I'm done. I'm tired. I got more surgeries coming up. I have all these things going on. At what point do I have to not fight all the time, right? I say George Foreman, all the best get tired, right? And why does every day have to be a battle? Why does every day have to be a battle? And that's he sent that. He's like, you can have a bad day. You can't give up. You cannot give up. And so I still have those days where I need reminded. So that wasn't mine. He said nothing, and that's what I try to tell people, the essence of Touch Base Tuesday. He said nothing else. He just sent that to me, right? And at that moment, it was just enough of what I needed to go, okay, I got to keep going. And when people say they're busy or they don't have time, when we know it's just crap, right? It's priorities, that something that simple could save a life. People don't believe it, and I guess I never did until something that simple has saved my life thousands and thousands of times over the years.
Absolutely. And I love that Touch Base Tuesday. That is incredible. And it is so true. You guys, that's why Service Heroes, that's why I started Service Heroes, in that I wanted my community, and some were getting kind of dark on me. I share the story that they were starting to feel like they were going to give up. And a lot of it is that bad news syndrome. You can turn on the TV, and if you want to just fill your soul with all sorts of bad stuff, all you have to do is find 24/7. It's there in wealth. You can find plenty of it. However, there is so many amazing people doing wonderful and incredible things, and many times they don't shout it out, and it's not highlighted because our society has been one of, if you do something kind, you should keep it quiet, a quiet act of service. And I'm like, no, we're going to shout it from the rooftops. We're going to let everybody know. And that's where Service Heroes came in. And you saw that I spent some time with one of our, and he hasn't been officially recognized. However, he knows he's going to be. We're just trying to schedule it.
He's going to be a Touch Base Tuesday guest, but it was snowing in Prescott, so we had technical difficulties, so we have to reschedule that as well. He's an amazing guy.
What an incredible person. And he just agreed to be on my advisory board for Chemo Buddies for Life. And I know it's like, pinch me. I'm so excited.
That's amazing.
And because, I told him, okay, I am so inspired. And his story has been so inspiring for me since I started it, because it started with one Make-A-Wish, the original little guy. And then now it's an international program, and that's how Buddies, the Buddies program started with one set of buddies, the original two, my original buddy, and then we now have buddies throughout the United States, and we're starting to have ambassadors internationally, and we plan on having buddies throughout the world. And I'm like, Frank,
yeah,
and he's like, okay, yeah. And he's been watching, and he is someone, though, when you look at his story, and anybody that, shameless plug, June the 7th, the Wish Man.
Oh, no, everybody needs to see it. It's not a shameless plug. It's amazing. Still going to this day. The things this man is doing still. In fact, he's just started up another nonprofit to help for police officers who got injured on duty so they can entrain. I'm like, what? I don't know how he did it. He's always doing something amazing.
He is, and he's looking for those opportunities to serve. And that's where, and yet, do people know that he nearly died, or he did actually die, and he was brought back? And, there's so much to his story. He could have gone the other way. He could have felt sorry for himself. He could have said, woe is me. My life has been such a hard life. I'm not going to go out there and do anything except for feel sorry for myself. No, he didn't do that. He certainly could have. Yet he was such an example of finding a way to serve. And I bring him up because we both know him, we both love him, and I see that about you. He had a rough go of it. And in the movie, he does say, they took some liberties, but I've read the book too. And so, and he had some times in his life that were pretty darn tough. Mm-hmm. And yet he didn't let those moments in time define him. And he kept looking for opportunities to serve. If he was feeling sorry for himself, he'd go over to that Boys and Girls Club, or he would go and coach in the afternoon programs, or he would do this, or he would do that. And what an example, don't you think?
Well, the thing I love about him, and most people don't know, and is why biggest reason why Front Office Solutions is set up the way it is, that none of the board members get paid, is that man has never taken a dime from any nonprofit that he's ever been on. And I've seen other people who start nonprofits immediately looking to, well, I only got to put 25% of donations back out into the public. And that just pisses me off. And it does him. And that is like, people, he's very humble, but he doesn't, he's never made a dime off of, his service. He's worked a job, now he travels and speaks and things like that. But first and foremost for him, it is about giving, the people the help that they need, and not bending benefiting
from it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get that one. If anything, Chemo Buddies for Life has been a true act of love, and the only way it started was it was self-funded, you know, and at some point in time we're going to have it up where it is completely taken care of, and it's on its own. And yes, it needs, the money needs to go into the Buddies program, into education, into so many things, because this is a community of people that have been underserved, and people are just not aware of, like what we were just sharing. And in fact, here we go. Oh, like the quote, feels that she was feeling that way last week. You know, we all do, Sharon. We all have those moments in time where we need to reset. We need to be not so hard on ourselves when we're having those times too. Right, Tamara?
Yeah, absolutely. And not getting caught up in it, because a lot of times when you hit those lowest moments, it's the perfect storm. You're by yourself, you're out of communication with people, and you know, you have to reach out, or even if you don't want to. That's how I started, believe it or not, public speaking and things. I was like, I'm gonna go to a networking. I forced myself to start going to events, even though I wanted nothing to do with anybody on the planet. And so this is the thing. One of my dearest friends, Jill Smith, and she actually just joined Touch Base Tuesday and all that. She amazing. The thing she always said to me was, "You're allowed to be upset. You get 5 minutes to be upset, but then you have to move. Cry while you're moving, right? We're not saying you can't be upset anymore, but you got 5 minutes, and then you have to move." And so, you know, even if you're bawling and crying or whatever it is, and many days I've been in my car crying or bawling on my way to an event, that's okay. You just got to move, because as Tony Robbins says, right, emotion creates emotion. And when you stop moving, it just is a hailstorm of you sinking deeper and deeper into that depression you unfortunately may not get out of. And I have to be careful with that. My mother took her own life. I've had you know, other people in my family take their own life. I have come very close to that. And so I have to be very aware of those spaces and that darkness, because Satan does a really good job, or whatever you want to view it as, the universe does a really good job of making you think that darkness doesn't end if you sit there and let it.
I know that this is an older picture, and I picked it because it was older, and yet you also have the dogs, but you also have your family, right?
Yeah. I have two daughters.
Yes, your two daughters, and we need to be able to concentrate and realize that we do have those reasons to live, and those people that love us, right?
Absolutely. And I know it's going to sound funny, but I fight for more of that North. So I'm 41, but I'm really almost the empty nester. My oldest daughter's 20, right? And my youngest will be 18 this year. And so they got their own lives and their own things going on. And, you know, I'm trying to change a family legacy for them, but they're not little anymore. And so for me, it was and a lot of parents go through this, was I felt like my kids are growing up, nobody needs me, I guess. You know what I mean?
Right.
And trying to find that purpose of, well, it's just me and the dog. You know what I mean? To spend your whole life taking care of other people all the time is a great thing. But I had stopped taking care of myself. I had stopped writing. I had stopped playing the guitar. I had stopped doing all the things that were who I was in the first place. The second I got married, the second I had kids. And then when those things weren't there, I felt like I had no purpose, you know, on this earth. So yes, family is important, but not losing the essence of who you are is, because I see so many people who get so developed in their marriage or their kids or other things, that once those things are gone, the kids have grown up or whatever happens, they feel they don't know where to go. They don't know. That's what I went through. I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt like I could die and nobody would matter. It wouldn't matter because I wasn't needed. The people that I was giving service to all the time, except for myself, didn't need me anymore. And I didn't look at it as, well, then somebody else needs me. I just thought my purpose was over, really.
So now you have Touch Base Tuesdays, right?
Yes.
So and I pulled this, so this has to do with Touch Base Tuesday, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So we have the page called The Starving Dog. on Facebook, and folks can watch the video. It's not actually about dogs. It's a story I tell about how that essence of we get in these toxic situations, right? And we stay in it and we stay in it. And when we get upset and are about to leave it, somebody throws us a bone, right? And we think it's going to change, but we get sucked right back in. And so I created the Starving Dog Action Pack, and that's we're a group of entrepreneurs that puts action where our hashtag is. We provide mental health services for veterans, teen cutters, and their families because my mother took her own life. And so the folks in the Starving Dog Action Pack team we bring on a new community hero every week. People that you don't usually hear about, right? Because we have two types, unfortunately, of heroes. We have those people who are very quietly giving service all the time, no matter what. Then you have the ones twice a year with the phone taking a selfie of the one time they give service, right? And so we're trying to let folks know that these entrepreneurs, Manny Lopez was on, Frank has been on, we're going to do that. The members of the Starving Dog Action Pack team are just like folks like yourself and others who are their entrepreneurs, but they give service, but they don't take a paycheck from that service. They're funding their own things.
Right.
And so now I started it with Jonathan Anderson, and he was part of Steve July met, and Sammy Jersey's part of it as well now. We're the core group, and so far, so you'll see, the Starving Dog Action Pack members is Stephen Dela Cruz, Les Brown Jr. just joined, Marshall Gillen, Davide DiGiorno, just you guys, amazing entrepreneurs, and they're on touchbasetuesday.com. And what we promise people, there's no money from any of it. So folks can go to touchbasetuesday.com. And if you see a plumber on there, you're guaranteed that that plumber is going to, deliver what they promise, do it with ethics, and they're giving service in their community in some way because we verify. And that's it. There's no money to be had there. And so it's just a safe space. And it's a group of folks out there saying, hey, yes, put action where your hashtag is. Share the post, right? Share the post. But if you're hashtag me too, are you out working with rape victims? If you're hashtag mental health, are you volunteering at suicide hotlines? If your hashtag, whatever your hashtag is, what action are you putting behind that hashtag? Are you getting out there? And if you don't know where to start, to reach out to us and we'll help find services. We've been very blessed to provide mental health services for over 58 people now since last May. And my goal is to try to provide services for 222,000 people by 2022 for two reasons. I'm a veteran and we lose 22 veterans a day in this country. Right. But for me, most importantly, I lost my mother and I don't want another child, to go through that, because that was almost my legacy. My mother committed suicide and I was almost a mother that committed suicide, and it shouldn't be happening. It's 100% preventable. So it's that simple. So every Tuesday we go live and we just have guests and we talk about mental health and things that people don't like to talk about, right? And that little things like sending that meme, that 2 seconds, right. Right. And people are like, oh, you always keep in touch. And this, I'm going to show you guys a little trick about how awesome I'm not. Is they say, well, you always manage to find time for your friends. You must be amazing. No, it was something I had to set out to do intentionally. I have my phone, and at certain times of the day, at 2 o'clock, it'll tell me to text my kids. At whatever o'clock, like I had to set it with attention and then pay attention to it, because it's real easy to go, oh, I haven't talked to my 20-year-old in 3 days, right? Because she doesn't live at home anymore, those sorts of things. And so because I want it to be an intentional part of my life, I set up tools to make me look like a better human being than I really am. But it's that simple. Keep those things going, and really work at it. Because I really, really hate the excuse that, and I'll tell you the number one meme that makes me homicidal is that one that people shares that, friends don't need to talk all the time. They just know we're busy and don't question our friendship nonsense. Sorry, y'all, if you don't hear from me for a year, you're not on the list. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't like adults making excuses for not having authentic connections.
How beautiful the program and helpful tips, guys. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to I've done that before. In fact, one of my buddies that has now passed, and so I took it off, and I should not have. I should have changed it another way, but I used to be reminded twice in the day to do something in particular for this one particular person, because there was a need. And so I did. I had the alarm go off, and it would be like, oh, good thing that was there. And I would do it. I would remember to do it. And some of it was to remember to have a positive thought one of the two times. And it was amazing how it all worked. And it really did work. And I'm so glad that you brought that back to us. I think that we all could benefit by sharing and doing exactly that. But, I challenge you guys, figure it out, and just, sometime, even if it's once a week, once a day, however it may be, once every other day, however you want to do it, but remind yourself.
On Tuesday, Touch Base Tuesday. That's what we tell people. Stop right now, do something. Each and every day we ask folks to do 3 things. Do one thing for yourself, do one thing for your business, and do one thing for someone else. And if you just start that small, it'll make a huge difference, I think, in how you feel about yourself and how you judge how hectic schedules really are. Because we're all, it's a 24-hour a day world. We all are going crazy, right? But there's a lot of busy folks who aren't getting anything accomplished.
Right, absolutely. And that is something that, at times I can honestly say that I have been totally guilty of. And I have to continually go back myself, even, because we can be doing things that we think are important, but in the end, are they really? And are they taking us away from things that really truly are? Tamara, you are doing incredible things. And if I can help in any way on the Tuesday, because we certainly are not getting paid by anything we're doing here at Chemo Buddies for Life. However,
love to have you. I'm going to need a guest host for a couple Touch Base Tuesdays for my next surgery. So I just put out a thing, because we do is really what you do, right? We just bring on community heroes that that we've noticed are doing great things. We ask people to nominate folks, and we just bring them on and talk about things they overcome, what they do to keep themselves in that positive mind frame to keep giving service, and and give them a little encouragement and thank them and let them know they're not alone. There's other people out there trying to make a difference, and if we're loud enough, we'll find each other, and then we'll be a force to be reckoned with, right? Instead of Tamara trying to run Touch Base Tuesday and annoying all her friends, I have an amazing team of people behind me that are helping me annoy all my friends.
Absolutely. I love it. And so put me on that list. I'm there to help and back you up any which way I can, because yes, you know how I feel about service and teams and community. And I absolutely adore you. I just think that everything about you is so genuine and so amazing. And oh yes, Sammy was there and met you at the Sammy Brezzi event, and Mikey, Mikey is just amazing. He was with me at the City Gala and City Summit, and that man shines.
He does. I tell everybody
jacket.
I tell everybody I want to be Sam Brissi when I grow up, because I
know, don't we all? We sure do. That's the biggest compliment you can give anybody. All right. Well, Tamara, thank you so very much. And as we close day number 211 of 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service. You are truly a service hero. You inspire. Your story and your life is affecting and helping so many people. I don't even know that you're aware of just how many people are actually doing so much better because you yourself have put yourself out there, and you're helping them to understand what's truly important. And that is giving of yourself, giving a touching someone's life. Touch base with them on Tuesdays, and to, Touch Base Tuesdays, and just the things that you are doing. Your attitude is amazing. I just thoroughly, from the moment I met you, I was incredibly impressed by your giving heart, your generosity of spirit, and just your overall, let's get it done. kind of attitude about life.
You're gonna make me cry. Don't tell my enemies, because there's still some people that need to know I throat punch. But no, I thank you, and I
says that too.
No, and I will just tell you, I am just really blessed to be surrounded by the best of the best. To be able to be with the Frank Shankowitzes and the Sammys and the Tamara Hunters and Sharon Lecter. When Joshua Prey came on Touch Base Tuesday, and then Les Brown Jr. joined the Starvey Dog, I just don't have any words, because I can offer these folks nothing, and it's really humbling that they support what we're doing, and it really just means the world. So thank you.
You know what? Thank you. And I just want to say that I'm here for you. Let me reach out to me if I can serve you in any way. I know that you've got a lot going on. You're moving, and then you've got some of these surgeries to deal with. So don't do it alone. Don't take it all on by yourself. You've got
a team of horses. You see my dogs, right?
Yeah, that I do. I see a team of horses, also known as dogs. And they're adorable too. I mean, in fact, as we close, I'm going to bring them back one more time, because absolutely. Oh, we get to see them in person. In fact, okay, let me take this down so we can get a better view.
I'll do it. She's so I know it looks weird, but she was doing it. She comes up and she signals on my leg, which tells me that it is time to check my blood sugar. So
well, then we're going to let her get you to business, and we're going to let you go. Thank you so very much. And our thoughts and prayers will be with you in your journeys ahead. And let's get together here soon. Okay.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for all you do, Tamara. I appreciate it.
And you too. Bye. Okay. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Okay.